So once again, I think we can start. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our last keynote presentation at Design 2022. My name is Sandro Wartzack. I'm the head of the chair of engineering design at FAU Erlangen-Nuremberg, and I have the honor to moderate the last keynote. The title is Which Way I Ought to Go. And this keynote is done by Zrinka Čorak, and she is the vice president of the company INETEC in Croatia. Zrinka completed a Master of Electrical Engineering at the University of Zagreb, where she also got her PhD. Then she graduated from Harvard Business School in the Executive Education Program. Zrinka is one of the founders of the family foundation Ita Meum Illumina. Her company started as a small family business company focused on providing non-destructive test activities of nuclear power plants 30 years ago. And beginning from this time, INETEC developed into a company which is active in developing robots, scanners, control units, probes, and software for navigation, as well as performing the non-destructive inspection. And they understand innovation as one of their core values. This presentation outlines how an innovation-driven company has evolved throughout the years across product ranges and business models. So, Zrinka, the stage is yours. We're excited. Please start.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone. It is my pleasure to be with you today. As it was mentioned, my name is Zrinka Čorak. I'm the part of INETEC community. At the moment, I'm in the role of CEO, and I'm very proud of the fact that actually, I'm the second generation of family business. So today I will talk about our journey, how we started, and how we have been evolving, changing, and growing throughout the years. So we started 31 years ago. Last year, at the beginning of last year, we celebrated 30th anniversary. We started in 1991 as a small company, about 10 people, family business company. And we were mainly focused on providing non-destructive testing inspection activities on nuclear power plants. And today, in 2022, it means 31 years later, we are still family business, owned and run, second generation, and we are renowned in developing robots, scanners, probes, software, and performing entity inspection. As you can see here, we are still active in the activity with which we started in 1991. Regarding the industries in which we are present, besides the nuclear one, which we started with, we expanded our activities in aerospace, in healthcare, and also in oil and gas. We have been present in different countries. So the countries that you can see here are the countries in which we have sold our products or services. Our facilities are located in Croatia, where our headquarters is located, and also in Abu Dhabi in the UAE, where actually we recently established the company. We have sold our products and services in different countries, from Argentina, Brazil, Canada, the United States, France, Finland, Ukraine, Armenia, China, Australia, Bulgaria, Hungary, Slovenia, Slovakia, the UAE, and other countries. Throughout all these years, we have been facing challenges, but also changes from incremental ones on, I can say, even on daily basis, to radical ones. And here I will share with you our path from the beginning and how actually the company has been evolving. So as you can see here, we started as inspection companies. It means that we were purchasing the equipment for performing inspections from other suppliers. Then shortly after our inception, we started development of eddy current probes, and then we continued with development of robotic systems for certain types of nuclear power plant. And then in 2022, we started development of different applications for inspection activities. As we were growing and as we were actually getting stronger and more competitive, we were actually aware that we had no other options than to be completely independent. When I say completely independent, it means that each segment of our inspection systems, when I say inspection systems, so the systems that we use during the inspection of different components, needs to be developed by INETEC. We were aware at the very beginning of our journey that without a strong R&D, there is no future. We had a clear picture of who we wanted to be, where we wanted to be, and how we wanted to be perceived. So we wanted to be, and this is actually our vision, that we wanted to be one of the leading companies in development and manufacturing innovative robotic and entity solutions in nuclear, in healthcare, in aerospace, and also in providing services, but here for all entity industries, not only nuclear. It required great investments in R&D. We were also aware that actually existing portfolio would not be sufficient to fuel the growth that we were striving for. So the fact that we are a family business and considering all advantages of family business put us in the position to speed up the entire process of development, which later on you will see was quite important for us. So generally speaking, family businesses have certain advantages, but we also must admit that family businesses have certain disadvantages. And today I will focus on family business advantages that actually help us in our journey to actually help us grow, help us develop, help us to speed up the entire development process. So the stability is one of them. Longevity, there is longevity in the leadership, and it is linked to long-term outlook. So we think years ahead. We foster a culture of clear vision with a clear strategy. So where we want to be and how we are going to achieve this. One of the most important here is the greater understanding of the industry and the history. So personally, I started working officially for the company 20 years ago, but I grew up with the company. And this is important because making decisions, especially investments in R&D, this greater understanding of the industry and history helps you be more confident, and actually it eases the decision that you make. And we all know that R&D actually has certain risks. There is also a stronger customer relationship, and it is quite important to have this in innovation-driven companies this passion for innovation, passion for finding solutions, passion for actually to creating some new values and to have this fighting spirit. One of our values and also values as a company is flexibility. The entire decision-making process is really fast. We faced so many situations in which this fast decision-making process actually gave us competitive advantage against other competitors. It is also important to mention that family members are willing to financially contribute to keeping business afloat, especially in economic downturns and other challenges, other challenging times. So it means that R&D can continue, R&D projects can smoothly continue regardless the situations on the markets and in the world. So let's go back where we started. We started in 2002. And then later on, we decided to expand our activities on PWR markets. So it is different type of nuclear power plant. So in 2007, we started with development activities related to different robotic systems. Then in 2007, we started from the scratch development of ultrasound probes. Then 2012, eddy current instruments, 2016, UT instruments, all related to nuclear industry. Then at certain point, once the development was successfully completed, the question was why not to apply the knowledge and experience in other industries, industries that actually need NDTs. So we developed other portfolio of eddy current instruments, a fleet, we call them fleet of Falcon instruments. Here you can see eddy current instruments. And then in 2017, we started NERO project, that is neurosurgical robot that was completed in 2021. And then we continued with the Freno, and Freno is almost ready for clinical trials. Several years back, we won several contracts for ITER project. ITER project is one of the largest R&D projects in the world. And that was also something new for us. Besides nuclear, oil and gas, aviation, and healthcare, we also won several projects with one of the space agencies. So in 2017, we realized that we need to prepare ourselves for further growth. And also the fact was that even at that time, the changes were needed because we were growing. And when the company is small, then it is more flexible, it is quite efficient, and there is different ways of information flow, of processes, organization. But the culture that we had, and that was actually the spontaneous brainstorming in the hallways, was something that we wanted to keep because of the innovations, because of that spirit and passion that was within the company. So the project Fusion was focused on organizational changes that were needed because existing organization was not sufficient for the current situation, but also for the growth that we were expecting. Then also we needed to define more precisely the processes, more people in the company, different facilities and different locations. The culture, we were not willing to change the culture. We wanted to keep the culture and to nourish this culture that we had. We put more efforts in people development. The result of the project related to processes was implementation of one of the best ERP system. And actually this ERP system helped us implement the processes. But I will focus here more on culture and people. The fact was that we had more people in R&D. We were not willing to formalize the communication and the processes within these teams. So we decided to keep smaller groups. Certainly, the number of groups was larger, and it required more collaboration among teams, and also more communication and alignment. It was quite important for us to build a capability for new, like innovations, but in other fields that I mentioned earlier, like space, healthcare. So the areas in which we were not present. But it was important to keep, I will say again, this passion for finding the solutions and for innovation, and to be eager to try something new and to experiment. When we look back and actually take a look at our journey, I can say that innovation was actually the key factor for our success. Innovation in R&D projects and actually successfully completed projects. We got competitive advantages. We expanded our portfolios, ranging from different kinds of probes, different robotic systems, software, instruments. Then also, as you could see on the previous slides, geographical expansion. We started our activities in like 3 countries, and then we expanded to other countries. And almost every year we try to expand either in a new country or to a new client. Diversification is something that showed quite important, especially during COVID, related to different countries and different industries. It all enabled us to grow and actually to put us in the position that we can say we make a difference, and we can define, actually identify this difference. After the fusion project was completed, we conducted several research within the company to understand people opinion, and also to gain the feedback on culture. So first, the outcome was that people believe in the bright future of the company, that working at INETEC is challenging and interesting. And for engineers, and in our company, like 95% of people have technical background. And for them, it is quite important that they can see the result their result in a successful product. So actually from the scratch till the end, till the implementation of the product. And here, what they said about superiors, they said that superiors I work for are open, willing to communicate, realistic, skilled, responsible. They're in contact with employees. That was quite important for us. We were not willing to make this, let's say, distance between superiors and the rest of the team. So we wanted to keep the culture as we had before. Colleagues I work with, they said they participate in problem solving, they're skilled at technology. So here we could see that we kept this teamwork and collaboration. And then the question is which way I ought to go. This is important in everything what we do. So it is important to know whom we want to be. And once we know where we want to be, then to find the right way. We are the ones, and we need to be aware of that, we are the ones that created the opportunities, but it is quite important that we are timely prepared. If I go back and actually from my experience and through all these challenges and changes that we have been facing, I can say that we should not be afraid of radical changes that sometimes are really needed for a better future, that we need to trust ourselves and to be bold. So, thank you.
So thank you very much for the great presentation, Zrinka. And to the participants, if you have questions, please type them in the chat function. So I can start with my first question. So I am interested, where did you see were challenges in implementing such a culture, such an innovative culture? Could you tell us something about the challenges you had?
So first we need to differ like culture to create the culture. So culture is not something that we can impose. Culture is something that each of us builds the culture and has a significant contribution within the company. So it is quite important that we understand that the way how we behave, the way what we say has a great impact on our colleagues. I also must admit that in our case, HR played significant role in awareness of certain changes that happen within the companies. Also, it is important that people see. So one thing is what you say, and it needs to be in line in what you do. So, for example, in innovation, the most important is to give people the freedom, but at the same time, when I say freedom, it means tolerance for failure as well, because it is R&D. But at the same time, we need to defer failures and actually incompetencies. So we started with people development and also this recruiting process at a very early stage. So that's why, for example, we have a good collaboration with the faculties, and then we select top talents, and later on we develop them. Also, it is important that people understand the expectations. So, for example, we are the environment, which is quite dynamic, challenging, and if you like challenges, if you like to take a risk, then we are at the right place for you. But some people, they don't like, so we are different. And but it is important to communicate the expectations. So that is related to actually, we didn't have this challenge to change the culture. We just had a challenge to keep the culture and to nourish the culture that we had as a small company. Of course, it is an ongoing process. So every day we talk and we do some small improvements, as I mentioned, like incremental changes, because it is not like you set up something and then everything is okay. So you live with the company, you listen, you observe, you monitor, and you get the feedback, and then you decide how you can actually forge the entire system to get into direction of the culture that is needed for the innovations, and that people actually are motivated and to give their best. But throughout this process, in general, the most challenging was to accept certain changes related to processes, and I can say this part that is more like formal, so like organization and how it works, etc. And also the new system that we implemented. It took certain time, and the first system that we had, it was customized, and then later on we decided to buy one of the best systems, ERP system. So it is quite, not that flexible, so we needed to accept this.
I can imagine changing the culture needs very much time, that's clear. And then we have another question from the auditorium, from Nicola Horvath. And we see, thank you for the interesting talk. Could you please reflect on recent change in the perception of workplace due to pandemic? How you approach the workers in order to keep the organizational spirit you were developing over the years?
So we were lucky because we stick to the rules to wear the masks. So we had just a period of maybe 2 months when some of people were at home and not in the company. And later on, we continued working from the company, but obeying all these rules. Also, our facility enabled us, because we have like one person in one room, or the offices are larger. So actually, we succeeded because we didn't have significant impact on working from home remotely. Then, but also this pandemic brought up the question of remotely work. So we had people that were willing to work from home. Of course, our let's say our work does not allow us to work completely from home, but we put the rule that, for example, 4 days per month, people can work from home, but it needs to be communicated with the superior.
Okay, I think it was really complicated during the last 2 years to be still innovative and to continue with your open and innovative culture, I can imagine. So any more questions from the participants? I could not see. Perhaps another question is, do all the workers want to have freedom during working? What do you think? Do all workers appreciate to have freedom in the work life? Or do something need a clear description and with a smaller degree of freedom? What do you think?
So when I said freedom, it means that you can come up with ideas of potential projects, and but the projects need to be defined. When I said freedom, we do not have impact or pushing them to go into one direction or another direction. So if they're part of the team, they need to communicate with the team and they work on this project. So this is the freedom, but it is highly disciplined and it is of course monitored. But when I say freedom, it means that you have the freedom to come up and say, listen, I think that this project would be very valuable, and it is quite interesting for me personally, but also valuable for the company. But also during development process, they have the freedom, but also the project is defined.
Yes, yes. Yes, dear participants, you have now the chance to ask questions to Zrinka, Čorak. So please be active and write down your questions or your remarks or any comments in the chat functionality. So please, come on. We have still some minutes left to ask questions. So think another question from my side even. If you compare the working conditions of, for example, Tesla and your company, could you imagine what are the questions? I guess both atmospheres are innovative and have innovative cultures, but you're doing it in another way. Could you say some words concerning this?
For me, it is difficult to talk about Tesla because I have information about Tesla as the outcome, but not how they're organized within the company. But innovation culture is quite challenging, and I think that there is a small and very thin line between in this situation between organization. I mean, when the environment is organized and self-disciplined, and when it comes to cause. So there must be a balance. So in innovation culture, you need to give people certain freedom for innovations, but at the same time to get back. It doesn't mean that there is no accountability. It doesn't mean that there is no processes. It doesn't mean that there is no discipline. So I think that there must be a balance.
There must be a balance, and I think it's nicer to work in your company. But we have two other questions from the audience. And the next question comes from Bernard Chihuahua. The question is, from a cultural perspective, could you comment about recruiting experienced staff from the industry versus recruiting young talents direct from university and training them?
Yes. So in our case, we are focused on recruiting young talent direct from universities and training them. Due to the fact that industry is very specific and it is quite difficult to get ready person to jump into the project and to start the project. So when they start at the university, then first 3 years as a student, they work within teams, and then we get knowing each other, and also they're familiar with the expectations. Certainly, we have the situations that we employ experienced staff from the industry, especially for project managers and senior positions.
Okay. How important is the collaboration with industry, with universities for you and your company?
Very good. It is very good collaboration with Faculty of Mechanical Engineering and Naval Architecture, and also Electrical Engineering and Computing, and also some other.
Yes, even only in Zagreb or international?
Yeah, in Zagreb, but also we collaborate with other universities in Croatia, but also abroad.
Okay.
We participated in different Horizon projects. We participated in FP7 projects. So that were the projects in which we actually collaborated with different universities globally.
Okay, interesting. Another question comes from Dorian Marjanovic. He wants to know how INETEC managed inspection licenses coming from country without any nuclear industry background. I also am wondering, it could be very complicated. Yeah.
So the fact is that Croatia is co-owner of nuclear power plant Krško in Slovenia. We started a long time ago, and in nuclear industry, the references are quite important. So we gained first references in Slovenia and also in nuclear power plants like in Bulgaria. And even nowadays, based on our references and our history, we are able to participate and actually to approach to some qualification processes in some countries. And once you're qualified and having the references, you can participate in tenders.
So I was wondering, it must be very complicated to change from nuclear power industry to healthcare systems. Was it very complicated, or how do you manage it to switch from nuclear industry to other industry branches?
Nuclear industry is quite demanding regarding certification, qualification, but at the same time, it helped us, especially with, for example, healthcare. So the project that I mentioned, we haven't started the certification process yet, but I do hope, and based on the materials and documentation that we went through, it helped us, the experience that we gained before, it helped us to understand the entire process. So for example, in some countries, this certification process for nuclear industry can last for example, 2 years or more. And it has some similarities.
Mm. And right now, what are the next challenges for the futures?
Space, certainly.
Pardon?
Space.
Okay.
Space. Yeah, we signed several contracts with one of space agencies, and the projects are related also to new materials and non-destructive testing, and also robotic systems, but the environmental conditions are different, so it will be quite challenging, but this is what we like.
And are you operating mainly in the European Union or even overseas? And
yeah,
plans?
Not only European Union, we are very active in the UAE, where we actually established our company, and from Far East, Middle East, America, South, North, so and Australia as well, so globally.
Okay, so your company will grow in the next years, we hope.
I do
Or at
hope.
least being
I
stable.
believe.
So 3 minutes left. So your last chance to the participants. If you have a last question or two last questions, we are open. Zrinka is open to answer your questions for another 2 or 3 minutes. So is it your first contact with Design Conference, Zrinka? I think,
Yes.
yeah. No more questions. Come on. I guess the Germans are celebrating holiday today because it's a special holiday, and even the rest of the conference. No. So thank you very, very much, Zrinka, for your really interesting presentation about the innovative culture at your company and all the challenges you had. And thank you very much. And we wish you all the best for the next future. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Have a nice day.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.